before you say a word, your image is loud and clear.
Ah.
So if you are not conscious about what you wear, how you behave, how you communicate, and how you appear, it's going to be muddled. And mentally, you're not going to be comfortable. First of all, it starts with loving who you are.
Yes.
Okay, once you accept who you are, then you learn who you are, right? You learn how to dress the body that you're in. And you also learn that nobody is perfect, but you are perfect for you.
Welcome to the Conscious Economics Podcast. I'm your host, Rhiannon Rosalind. I'm a serial entrepreneur and social innovator. I like to gather people from all different walks to talk about what I call the conscious economy. I believe that we can create a more equitable system, one that honors the well-being of people, the well-being of the planet, the well-being of business, and includes art and creativity. Join us each week as we tackle a different intersection of this big but critical conversation. What's up, everyone, and welcome back to the Conscious Economics Podcast. I'm your host, Rhiannon Rosalind, and today we have an amazing episode in store for you because Brenda Foreman is here with us today, and I'm so honored to have her. So Brenda is, when I think of you, Brenda, I think of someone who is all things art, fashion, entertainment, philanthropic. You just have such a special spirit, and you are an image consultant. That is definitely something that you spend a lot of your time doing. But what I love about you as an image consultant is that you're so mindful and conscious about the way that you go about that. So we will be discussing that today. But Brenda is also the Honourary Consul for St. Kitts and Nevis. So this is really, really special as well. And we're going to talk about that, as well as the creative director of the African Fashion Week Toronto. So these are really, really special things that Brenda does. And I'm just so honored to have you in the space as well. When we connected last week on a phone call, I was just moved by your energy. And I love to have people on the show that are building the conscious economy in their own unique and special ways. And so a lot of the times when we think about a conscious economy, we don't think about fashion, but it is such a part of our economy, the way we show up in the world. And I feel like it's got a lot to do with overall well-being, just the way that we're able to show up. So can you make that connection for us, Brenda, and tell us why fashion and the way that you present yourself can have an influence on someone's overall health and well-being?
Yes, I can. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be here. I love your podcast.
Thank you.
I'm just happy to share of me and myself and what I do. Your image has so much to do with your well-being and your self-esteem. Because have you heard the saying, your image is heard before you say a word?
No, I've never heard that.
Before you say a word, your image is loud and clear.
Ah.
So if you are not conscious about what you wear, how you behave, how you communicate, and how you appear, it's going to be muddled. And mentally, you're not going to be comfortable. So if you're conscious about saying, okay, this is me, addressing who you are. First of all, it starts with loving who you are. Yes. Okay, once you accept who you are, then you learn who you are, right? You learn how to dress the body that you're in. And you also learn that nobody is perfect, but you are perfect for you. And if you stop comparing yourself to anybody else, you start to understand that this is me. And so you build your image around that, meaning how I would say is you buy pieces in terms of a capsule, and I could explain that later on, where everything you have can mix and match.
Okay.
Right? And all your pieces go together.
Yes.
You pick a color, for example, and if you learn your coloring, you know who you are in that sense. Every time you open your closet door, or you walk into your closet, depending on the closet you have, there's no waste. Everything in that space is for a use or for a purpose.
Yes.
So, for example, one jacket that you have you can use that with many, many different pieces. Everything. A skirt, a pants,
dress.
everything.
Yeah.
You could wear it outside, you could wear it underneath, you can layer with. So building that image is so important because if you don't have that, it affects your mental well-being. People who I find are not comfortable with who they are, who spend their time comparing themselves, wishing that they were something else instead of accepting their genetics and looking in the mirror, first of all, and saying, this is me, I love me. They end up suffering from mental illnesses, you know, eating disorders because they want to change certain things about themselves.
Well, I do agree that at times in my life when I haven't felt as good about myself or I've been going through a hard time, sometimes it's those times that I take a less conscious approach to the way I'm presenting myself to the world. And I know when I'm feeling good mentally, spiritually, emotionally, that I will want to present myself. You know, my hair will be done. I want to wear bright colors. So I completely understand that connection. And I think it's so interesting the way that you put it. And, you know, if we're looking at this through a lens of consciousness and well-being, and we want to be able to use fashion as a tool for that, how does someone kind of identify how they want to express themselves in fashion? Like, what is there like a certain couple of questions that we should be asking ourselves? Or because I agree too, you see so many people comparing themselves thinking like, I have to have this body shape in order to be fashionable, and that's so not true. And we have so many figures now in pop culture that are starting to change and shape. Like I'm thinking of Lizzo, or I'm thinking of people who are looking so beautiful and fabulous in all shapes and sizes.
It's a matter of acceptance. Lizzo is a perfect example of accepting who you are and celebrating the body that you're in, because it is a gift.
Yes.
You know, once you start taking care of that vessel, everything else falls into place.
Well, how do we start that journey of understanding who we are on the inside so we can express it on the outside? Like, is there a way that we can get in touch with that? Do you have any tips or recommendations for what that feels like, that process?
Well, first of all, it starts from looking at yourself. So physically, you're looking at yourself. One of the things I do when I do some of these talks is I give mirrors. I have these personalized, beautiful little mirrors that you can keep with you. And it helps you from youth all the way up to when you have a question, or if you're having a bad day, or you have, you know, something is eating at you, or somebody's done something really awful in terms of, you know, denigrating your character. You look at yourself in the mirror and you see who you are. Really look at yourself and remind yourself that this is who I am. I love me, right? Then that's just the outside. And then internally, there are some beautiful traits that you have to realize. Am I strong?
Yeah.
Am I passionate? Do I love art? Do I love politics? My character.
Yeah.
You know, build on whatever character you're given and accept it, right? And then the outside, your body shape. We all have totally different body shapes.
Yes.
You know, if you are an athletic build, then you wear structured fabrics that can support that. If you're taller, then you wear something else. If you have rounded hips and curves, you celebrate those and you dress those. You know, not hide them.
Yes.
You accentuate them.
Yeah.
You know, you wear different fabrics that may flow with your curves when you walk, because you move differently.
Right.
Right? So these are things that I always say, that who you are is how you dress.
Yes.
Not just in appearance, but also how you are mentally.
Yes.
Because we all have different characters. You know, you work with people every day, and I'm sure you deal with many different personalities on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So you dress your personality as well. If you're an artist, obviously you're not going to wear a suit and tie to work every day.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. I think that's so fun. And I love that idea of we are the starring character in our own lives. And if we approach life as like, this is my play, this is my film, this is my movie, I'm the starring character.
Yes.
And how would I, you know, dress that character? And how could I play that up to to let people know as you walk in the room with that first impression who I am, you know? And I think that that's a really beautiful way to look at it. So let's transition a little bit, because I think a lot of the times when we think about, you know, the planet and we think about climate change, a lot of us, our mind go to, you know, our energy sector, these different places. We don't always think about fashion as a polluter and as, you know, something that's really contributing to our, you know, rising temperature on the planet and all these things. But it is like there is a lot, and especially with the fashion cycle and fast fashion and this idea of trends coming and going constantly, and you feel like you have to constantly consume in order to keep up with it. And all of these things lead to an incredible amount of waste on the planet, water use, unstable labor markets in some cases. So how can we be conscious individuals, exploring fashion and wanting to use fashion as a tool to express ourselves, but also being mindful and conscious of the planet and the climate?
I think that is key right now. Fashion is the number 2 polluter in the world.
Wow.
After the fashion industry, after the oil industry.
Wow.
That is like crazy when you think about it.
I didn't know. I would never like expect that.
Well, because there's so many chemicals involved.
Yeah.
To dye a piece of fabric, it's tons and tons of like 10,000 tons of water to dye 1 ton of fabric.
Wow.
Right? My thing is to use natural fibers. Mm-hmm. If you can, right? Linens, for example, or you could do mixes. If you're going to wear certain fibers that, you may not be able to afford certain things, washing your clothes in less than 30 degrees.
Okay.
So it's not as hot going into the system, doesn't pollute as much. But also recycling. Recycling, extremely important. Upcycling, changing, reusing. Yes. When you buy classic pieces, you go shopping, first of all, and you see a piece. In my mind, I think, can I wear this piece for the next 3 to 5 years or longer?
Right.
So you're using this over and over, and that's where it comes with buying capsules.
Yes.
So that if you have a classic jacket, you can wear this and reuse it in so many occasions.
Yes.
And you maybe want to change it later on. After 5 years, you may want to cut it, do something else to it. But reusing and recycling, when you're done with a beautiful piece, you may want to pass it on to somebody else.
Right. You
may also want to shop vintage, or shop gently used, buying classic pieces. If you go into, let's say, a Chanel store, for example, a bag, their classic bag is being sold for how many years?
Yeah.
And people still buy that one bag.
True.
So if you want to buy something that's used and you want to go in towards that direction, you could purchase that bag and keep that bag for your children.
Exactly.
It's something that can be passed down. But it's the fast thing that gets us.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with buying a few trendy pieces here and there that you can implement and put mix in with your classic pieces, because then you could stay on trend if that's what you're interested in.
Right. That makes a lot of sense. And I think just being able to think about when you're going into a store and when you're looking at a piece, I love that question of, am I going to be able to wear this for years to come? Or is this literally going to disintegrate in the wash after a couple pieces? And it is the more quality pieces that do last. That is for sure. And I think, again, there's that dichotomy between we want to be on a budget, but we also want pieces that last so they can be sustainable not only for us, but also for our planet. Hold that thought. We have a quick word from our partners before going back to the episode. This podcast is brought to you by our sponsor, RBC Investies. Backed by expert human advisors, RBC Investies is a smart, online, automated investment service that allows you to invest with low effort and low cost.
Open your first RBC Investies account and pay no management fees for your first year. Plus, start investing with as little as $100. Simply visit rbcinvesties.com/getinvesting and sign up using promo code AA407.
And now back to the episode. So that brings me to the budget side, because I know you are so fabulous at helping people design their look and feel great, feel like $1 million without having to spend it. And we do love to talk about being conscious with our money here as well, conscious economics. So tell us a little bit about that process. I think the classic pieces make sense. People don't always think, I invest a little more in a piece, but I get so much more use out of it, so I don't have to keep going and buying.
Yes, it's about quality as opposed to quantity.
Yes.
Because what's the point of having a huge closet of clothes that you wear only 20% of? It's just sitting there.
Exactly.
And it's a waste on many, many levels. If you buy one good piece, say, for example, I'm going back to that jacket, one jacket, a really nice pencil skirt, a really nice pair of pants, slacks, 2 or 3 beautiful tops, blouses, that's 15 outfits with 6 pieces. 21 outfits with 7 pieces.
Right.
It makes sense to buy quality. Something that will last. When you think about fashion, most people think about trends and, I want to but I think we're past that stage now. Because when we understand that our bodies are different, trends go and come.
Yes.
The trend lasts. How many trends have we had last year?
Oh, I mean, there's so many. And there's trends that I'm so glad are going or not here. Like those low-rise pants, which I really hope. I saw a funny meme on the internet that was like millennials talking to the younger generation saying like, we had to go through this time where these low-rise pants were all that it was in and everyone just had a muffin top. It didn't matter who you were. So now they have the high-rise and it's like, you're so lucky because that's just so much more comfortable. Oh, it's the best.
I've always loved. I have my children wearing my clothes. I have pieces.
Wow.
That I've had for so many years and now they can't fit me. And I thought, well, it's time to recycle, time to switch. And like, no, mommy, I'm going to take that one. So now my stuff is being passed on. I'm happy. I love to see them wear their stuff. So for example, you asked a question about shopping on a budget.
Yeah.
I would say vintage or recycling.
Yes.
Right?
Because you can get those quality pieces still, right? And for a right price. What is the typical budget that you would have to spend if you were like, I want to do this. I want to rethink my wardrobe. I want a new wardrobe and I want it to reflect me. And I want to get these great couple of pieces, like you said, that are classic. What would be that amount if you were going to overhaul the whole thing? What do you think you could do that? Like what's the most reasonable?
That's a tough question to answer because everybody has a different budget.
Sure.
Let's start with the least amount. Let's say you are on a low income.
Yes.
Okay, because you're low, medium, and very high income. Either way, you still have to be conscious of what you're spending.
Yeah.
So if you're on low income and you need to start over, I would start with just a few pieces and build on that.
Sure.
So let's say you have $200 to spend. For that, you can get a jacket.
Yep.
You can get pants,
Yeah.
a skirt, and you can get a couple of tops.
Yes.
I'm sorry, whether they're turtlenecks, whether they're
Blouse
blouses,
or turtleneck.
and they're classic if you're shopping wisely.
Yes.
If you don't, or if you want to go brand new, $200 may just be able to get you one piece.
Right.
But that's okay because you may have pieces already that you're using with that.
Exactly.
And as you phase them out, you have a plan. This is what I want to do.
Yeah.
It's like building a house. You have the blueprint.
Yeah.
This is what I want, and you start with this.
Yeah.
Then the next month you add the pants.
I love that.
And then a couple weeks later you add, and then you phase out the rest of it.
Yep. So just like we would have a financial plan for if we wanted to purchase a home or something like that, even though it's maybe a little bit smaller, being able to map out and say, this is my goal.
Yes.
I'd like to have 2 great blazers, 2 great pants, 2 skirts, a few blouses, and I may not be able to do that all at once, but I'm going to one by one invest in those pieces, check it off, and then be able to be very conscious. Because I think a lot of the times, and I know I've been guilty of this, when I'm shopping on a budget and I end up buying these pieces that actually are those more frivolous because they're like in the time, they're not that expensive, but then they're not lasting or quality.
Because they're trend,
Exactly.
right?
And so I end up spending more money in the end, even though I don't want to.
And then how long do these pieces last?
Exactly.
You don't wear them more than a year, which
Exactly.
means it ends up getting to the landfill if you're not recycling it.
Totally.
Right?
Yeah.
Tons and tons of clothes get to this place. If you're conscious, like you say, you can pass it down to somebody else. We used to have parties. And before the pandemic, and hopefully we'll do this again.
Yes.
Where my girlfriends and I, there were 7 of us.
Yeah.
And we'd plan maybe once every 2 or 3 months, we'd bring a garbage bag of stuff, gently used stuff or some of them brand new that we know we're not going to use, and bottles of wine and our canapes and stuff. And in the middle of the room, we dump everything.
Yeah. And then it's like you just
And
go
while
through.
we're eating and drinking, people pick pieces.
I love
and you're
that.
going home with a new wardrobe at the end of your party because you know the people who are,
Exactly.
who are wearing it, and you're happy. I like to see people in a piece that I know I took the time to pick myself.
Yes. Yeah. I love that. I love those ideas. All of these things are possible. And I think for anyone where it's inaccessible to go out and purchase a new wardrobe, this is a great opportunity. So getting together in your local community with friends, everyone bringing some pieces that that maybe they're not, so into or inspired by anymore, and then being able to mix and match. I love that. I think that's so cool. So I want to get in a little bit to some of your work with African Fashion Week Toronto, because this is so fabulous. And I just want to know, what is the goal of this particular event, or it's not a one-day event, it's multiple days.
It's multiple days.
Yes,
It's usually a 4 or 5 day event.
Yes.
It's a passion project, and it's what we call our social enterprise.
Yes.
Because we've been doing this for 10 years now.
Wow.
There's a small group of us who started this because we needed to find a platform to showcase the talent within our community, within our culture. So we're showcasing creatives and artists on all levels. We're from hairstylists to makeup artists to designers and models.
Wow.
Right? A few years back, I think it was like 15 years ago, we'd sit around and we'd talk about, we were watching at the time, it was fashion television, it was all these shows, and I couldn't see myself. Even though I was a size 2 then, and I did modeling, I was one of very few who would end up on certain runways.
Right.
But there were some beautiful models who couldn't get work.
Right.
But we're 80% of the population.
Right.
Why are we not represented? Right? So we thought, why don't we, it was like a see a need, fill a need type of situation. We got together and we said, let's start this fashion week. We have so many young designers, the fabrics, the colors, the textiles, beautiful. Why don't we showcase this? And then when we have our casting call, we have models that are tall, petite, voluptuous, thin, small, all types, different shades. And everybody got to walk the runway because everybody represented everyone else. You'd have people in the audience and everyone in the audience could relate to somebody that's walking in front of them.
I love that.
And then so we took off on that level. We wanted to start something that was sustainable, and to this day, I think we had a lot to do with what's happening in our city and fashion.
Yeah.
I've had, I was styling more back then on the corporate side, and I've had lawyers who were very straight, corporate.
Yeah.
But now those same lawyers, I'd give them an Ankara print tie or pocket square, where 10 years ago that wouldn't have happened.
Right.
Well,
I think it's so special because 10 years ago, you're so right. I reflect back to 10 years ago and, just starting out being the president of the Economic Club and just where we were at in terms of thinking about equity and sustainability and fashion and art and culture and just being able to be more vibrant in who we are and celebrate culture and be able to, comfortably attend these different things and especially from the corporate side, be able to embrace that. So I think that you're such a pioneer in the group of women that you started this with.
And one gentleman
who are paving the way to now this is a decade-long event that's happening in Toronto. And when does it happen?
It's usually August.
Okay.
Every year. This year, because this is our 10th year, we're having 10 days.
Wow.
10 days of fashion, seminars, workshop classes, and student designer showcases. Like we always do that.
I love that.
Model showcases, creative showcases. So we're being specific this year.
Yes.
A day where a creative can show their hairstyle.
Yes.
We feature different type of makeup and teach you on certain levels. So there are different things coming up. This year's going to be great. It's going to be the week of the 21st of August.
All right.
All the way through.
That's beautiful. So to all of our listeners, we'll link that in the show notes that if you're in the local Toronto area, you can attend this incredible event. And thank you so much for sharing that. And lastly, I just want to know a little bit more about your new role as Honourary Consul for St. Kitts and Nevis. Yes. So this is really special. I know that you have so many ideas in terms of how you want to involve young people who are from St. Kitts and Nevis who are now here in Canada. So just tell us a little bit briefly about what that role is and what you hope to do with that.
Well, I am honored, that I was actually picked for this because it's my chance to do what I love to do. Yes. the main things or the main issues that I like to think about, I don't like the word issues, but youth, women, and everyone else, obviously. But the youth are our future. And there are so many youth in this country that are not connected to the homeland of St. Kitts and Nevis. We have a lot of first, second, and third generation youth that we want to reconnect. We want to teach them about what St. Kitts and Nevis is, get them to see it, get them to use their skills, mentorship, exchanges of information, exchanges of skills, so that we can connect them and their parents as well.
Yes.
The people in the diaspora to the ones in the homeland. That is my main projects.
Yes.
Also, there's the issue of mental health. We know this. This is huge, especially after the pandemic. We see it more pronounced.
Definitely.
We can help each other across nation, across culture, and across the entire world. And then there's women and the recycling, because there's so many things that we could think about.
It's people, planet, profit, art.
Exactly.
And that's what you're doing. Absolutely. It really is. And it's so special to see someone like yourself. I mean, even just listening to you talk and seeing the energy and excitement and your eyes light up as you talk about all of these incredible projects. It is that heart work. It's that work that's coming from the heart. And it's beautiful. So I just want to celebrate you. And where can we find you? How can we get involved? If anyone's listening right now and, is from St. Kitts or Nevis, and they are in the community here in Canada, where can they find you?
Well, we are at the consulate at St. Kitts and Nevis, the consulate of St. Kitts and Nevis and Toronto, and we have a website. It's easy. Just Google St. Kitts and Nevis Consulate. The ministries of St. Kitts and Nevis as well. We connected. If you need any ministry at all, whether it's Ministry of Tourism, investment, agriculture, we connect you through. If you're here you want to get a passport, you get forms renewed, anything, we are your liaison, so to speak.
Yes.
Your representative here. If we can help in any way, that's what we're here for. We connect. We're the connectors, and we want to bring, the juice from here back and forth. We want the youth to be reconnected.
I love that. I love that. And we want that for you as well. So thank you so much, Brenda, for being here today. It was so fabulous to learn from you. I'm rethinking my closet as we speak.
We can have fun with that.
Oh, we can. I'm sure we can. And for anyone else who's tuning in right now, if you want to learn more about our work at Conscious Economics, go check us out at consciouseconomics.ca, and we will link in the show notes everything to do with Brenda and her fabulous work and events that she's talked about. Thanks for tuning in, and see you again next week on the show. This podcast is brought to you by CPP Investments. At CPP Investments, they never lose sight of the long term. They invest the Canadian Pension Plan Fund to help provide financial security for generations of Canadians.
They diversify the CPP fund across geographies and asset classes to access the best investment opportunities and generate sustainable long-term returns. The fund is now more than $400 billion.
To learn more about their investment performance for Canadians, visit cppinvestments.com.